Hi guys, Crier here on a rainy Monday in New York City, Central Park, while we're about to have Manic Monday in Wimbledon and London. I'm showing you another shot here of some of the soil samples in Central Park. You can look at this closer and compare it to my other video, and you see it's a little lighter. Of course there is ash, or I should say cinder, and gravel on top. They tend to do this in Central Park a lot. It makes for a really better walkway, especially when it's raining like this. You know, it absorbs some moisture well. Nobody's going to slip on stuff like this. But as you can see, I made a footprint there earlier. You can get a better look up here. I think there is more clay in this soil, and that's why it's a little grayer, a little lighter than the other soil I showed earlier. You can also see pieces of sand, what have you, in there. As I play around with it, you can see. Now, obviously in the pouring down rain, as we have right now, this is going to be soft, moist, loose. But Wimbledon doesn't let their courts get like this, and what happens is when the clay base hardens, there's about 23% clay in there. It can become very hard, but it's very good bounces. And if there is any moisture in the blades of grass, which there always is the first week, but this year, as I've said earlier in my other video, it's worse than that. It's been in many years because of the cold, wet winter and cold, wet spring. It will become very slippery. That is why you're seeing it even more slippery here at Wimbledon, and quicker tennis and all these upsets than you saw in Holland, Nottingham, Birmingham, anywhere else, even Queens. While it was more slippery this year in those tournaments, nothing like Wimbledon. And why? Because Wimbledon is the most manicured, well put together grass courts in the world. Their clay base is immaculate. It's very solid and very compacted very well. And there's no weeds in the grass, or almost none, like 1%. And it's just so perfected, to be honest with you. If you have a little too much moisture, which we're seeing this past week, even today we're going to probably see still a little bit of slippage. Not too bad now, but that's why you saw what we could call old school grass court tennis a little bit. Not all the way, because we're using a softer, lighter type of ball that jumps up a little bit. Had these been the old heavy balls that were a little smaller, they would have, and they weren't nearly as resilient. They were more lively. They would have just skidded through this surface. We basically would have seen a 90s grass court, most likely. With these rackets, it would have been ridiculous. So, I mean, you can't really have the courts like that. That would be unplayable. It'd be ace, ace, ace. But with these balls and a little bit of a slippery court, we actually are having some nice throwback time, some nice traditional grass court tennis, and of course a lot of upsets, because a lot of people don't play this kind of tennis anymore. Not so much variety. You have to think on your toes more. You have to create more. You can't just rely on the same old stuff, which is bash it and run on the baseline. And here we are in New York City, getting ready for the US Open next.